If your child was recently diagnosed with juvenile arthritis, then clearly you're looking for answers. And you want clear answers and you want truthful answers. And there's so much information out here. So that's what the video is about. It is the truth about your child's juvenile arthritis, how it was developed, why their body is flaring, and all of the things that I know that you have questions about. So let's talk about what you've been told. What you've been told is that, right, your child's immune system is confused somehow, it's overreacting, and it's like cuckoo, it's attacking healthy joints and tissue in your child's body. So, with that premise, then we are left with no other option but to stop the immune system from doing what it's doing. And guess what? We have something for that. Okay. So, number one, there's nothing wrong at all with employing certain medications in order to get a handle of your child's juvenile arthritis. Okay. And that's another subject, but I know we deal with so much guilt sometimes as moms. And if you're here watching this video, you are actively searching for something in addition to or instead of going that route. And so let me just acknowledge that I understand that there is a lot of guilt surrounding your decision in what you're going to do with reversing your child's juvenile arthritis. My name is Star Penn. I was the leaky gut coach helping people all around the world of all different ages to reverse their various autoimmune diseases. I now have a program called the JIA Blueprint. I specifically work with moms just like you to reverse their children's juvenile arthritis. And please rest assured that I have families who are doing all sorts of treatments, medication alongside the JIA Blueprint in order to reverse their children's juvenile arthritis. It's a journey, okay? It's not a magic bullet, okay? It's going to take time. So I want to get that out of the way. If your child's in pain, if you're in pain, seeing them in pain, or seeing any kind of excessive swelling, we're not looking at all that. We got to do what we need to do. That has nothing to do with what we're going to do moving forward to reverse the root cause of why this is developed in the first place, which will then prompt your rheumatologist to go ahead and wean off the meds, in which case we're no longer looking at remission, to see how long we can keep it at bay and how powerful the medication is beating down the immune system so it can't react to toxins in the body anymore, but really that we've repaired all of the different functions in the body, cleared it out of all toxins so that the immune system can safely patrol the body for actual legitimate threats, or I'll say traditionally threats to the body, things like viruses and infections and things like that. So I just want to get that out of the way. This is not a medication, no medication forum. That's not what this is about. But this is for families, moms who are keenly interested in understanding what is really causing this, and can I do anything to reverse the situation in my child's body? So this video, we are going to talk about what is really causing this. And then, yes, this can absolutely be reversed. Just like anything else, the body is constantly trying to heal itself. The body is constantly healing itself. And just like with a scab or some sort of an infection in the body, a broken bone, let's say, if we don't reset it or if we don't put the ointment on it, yes, it is going to get worse. Yes, it is going to get infected. Yes, we are going to have more problems on top of more problems. On the other hand, if we reset the bone and set it properly, or if we properly take care of an open wound, we know that the body is going to heal itself, right? Right. So that is exactly what we do inside the JIA Blueprint. Now, you can ask me questions here anytime you want. I will be as thorough as I can. My goal here is to help you to reverse your child's juvenile arthritis. You can also go ahead and join my public Facebook group. I post stuff there often, but also you can just ask me anything directly in there. It's the Juvenile Arthritis and Uveitis Blueprint on Facebook. And so you can go ahead and ask to join there. And you have access to me right there. Now, that isn't my program. My program is a private group where I help people every single day, one-on-one and in a group setting, and where we are all together healing our child's juvenile arthritis. And it's very intense. And this is really where I can white glove and kid hand you through your journey and help you to get the results that you're going for without all the stress, overwhelm, fear, confusion, all that stuff that we go through trying to do this on our own. Dealing with all of the setbacks or the flares and the different things that come up, you have that helping hand 24/7. But please, I am happy to help you no matter what. So, find me on Facebook, reach out to me here and ask me anything you want. And I am more than happy to share whatever I can with you. Okay. So the question is what is really happening inside your child's body? We've already discussed what we've been told is happening. On the surface, it might make sense, but if you're here, it's probably true that it kind of doesn't. And then also, there's probably a really good chance that when I explain to you what's really going on in the body, it's going to be like bing, 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 bing. And you're going to be like, that makes sense. And the truth does, right? Because does it make sense that an immune system that is so wisely and innately designed would for no reason go rogue and just start attacking? Why is it just attacking the joints and tissue? If it's rogue, why isn't it attacking the entire body? There's like questions there. So let's get into it, okay? What is really going on in the body? Now, we have heard now for the past decade or so this buzzword called leaky gut. Now, when my daughter was diagnosed, this is now over 10 years ago, that was a foreign concept. Nobody knew what that was. If I mentioned it to a doctor, not only would they have never heard of it, if they had, it was like a ridiculous concept. Well, here we are. We know that we are dealing with a leaky gut. There's supplements galore all over the internet that are selling you powders and pills and things like that. So it's acknowledged is the point. Do these supplements and powders work? No. But, can they do a little something? Maybe, but that's also not the point. The point is that we have now, in our society, have developed this condition. And it's not your fault. It's nothing you could have done different. Literally nothing you could have done different. And I know it feels like you're the only one and you're on an island and why me? Because all autoimmune issues are the same thing. Not only are all autoimmune issues the same thing, and we'll get into that, exactly what is an autoimmune issue and what is categorized as an autoimmune issue. All neurological issues are the same root cause as all autoimmune issues. Not only that, all of our hormonal issues also have the same root cause as our autoimmune issues. So when I say autoimmune here, we are talking about juvenile arthritis. But maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but did your child have any eczema or anything when they were little? Did they have GERD or reflux or anything like that? Did they have stuff with their bowels, maybe very constipated for a very long time, things like that? Things that seem small, allergies, asthma, smaller, asthma's not small, but right. All those things are the rumblings of, other things that are coming down the pipeline. We did not know this. Our doctors did not know this. Our pediatricians they're too busy to address all these little rumblings anyway. And most people, by the way, aren't going to do anything about it anyway. And the pediatricians know that too. So this is not to demonize the medical field at all. Saving lives. We are simpatico. But it's a busy world. Most people, by the way, are not going to do anything beyond finding something to suppress the symptoms. So you are in the top 1% of parents here watching this video, which is, I'm very happy to see that. So, but it's difficult. It's a difficult road, and not everybody is going to want to take the reins of what maybe you want to do. And that's fine. This is your journey. This is your daughter, your son, your family. So starting with that is that all these maybe autoimmune conditions that we have, anything inflammatory, things that we might even, maybe wouldn't even think are related to the gut, unfortunately, they are. So let me explain why and how that is. A lot of people are now talking about the leaky gut, and they're going to say, oh, yes, toxins are getting out of a perforated gut lining into the bloodstream. Into the bloodstream, that's where we start seeing the allergies, the skin issues, and things like that. They're floating around. The immune system's like, hey, what are you? You don't belong here. Let me go after you. And a lot of times gets rid of it. But how do I go about that? Yeah, so I'm going to pin that. But because we were going to come back to that. But really, what we're not thinking about, because it really is the key, because we're talking about healing at a root level, right? So most natural practitioners are going to be focusing on the leaky gut, sealing and healing the leaky gut. It's not wrong, it's right. But we like to go a little bit deeper because we don't want to just do another Band-Aid approach. The meds are a Band-Aid approach. Hey, it's a temporary fix and it can be utilized along with healing naturally. It should be if your child's in any sort of pain. But it's a Band-Aid approach. So just looking at the gut and sealing it is also a Band-Aid approach. And that's where most people are going to get you and say that's the root. But it's deeper than that. And it's for two reasons. It's the reason I pinned, but it's also the reason I'm going to explain. So it's deeper than that in the sense that, like, well, why is it leaking? What caused that? And so we have that, we're going deeper there. What caused it? So what could that be? Right? What could that be? For most of us, it's probably yeast. And that's because one round of antibiotics as an infant, which how many of us have done that? And needed to. One round of antibiotics is going to knock out every bacteria in the gut lining. And when the yeast is extremely opportunistic, the diet that our children are eating, if they're not only on breast milk and breast milk only, and then let's not forget our breast milk probably needs to be better than it is, and it's probably not as good as we think it is. Another video, another time. But what are the first foods we start with? Rice cereal, little powder puff things, little juice boxes. I mean, all these things are just such good food for the yeast in the body. So nothing you did wrong, nothing at all. But that's what happens. Has yeast. So an interesting thing about the composition of yeast or the design of yeast is that it has a corkscrew type of a design. So it's very interesting under a microscope. The yeast will now take over inside the gut and inhabit the walls and grab on. So a few things are happening there. One, holes are being created. Microscopic holes are being created all throughout the gut lining. But then another problem that is not addressed is, well, now all this yeast is now blocking the villi inside the gut lining that's there to absorb the nutrients from our food. So not only are we now creating holes in the gut lining, but we have another problem. We're becoming malnourished because of this yeast. That is most likely what started all of this. Now with yeast now taking over and not being able to absorb nutrition, which also means not able to properly digest, which now means that food particles that are in the gut aren't getting digested properly. They're fermenting, which is now feeding more pathogenic bacteria, which we all have in our gut, right? So this is not about let's kill the parasites. That's another thing that a lot of people try to do to address autoimmune disease. No, we're not. That's not how we do this. Sorry, that's not how we do this. And that's because those bacteria are natural to our body, but they are rising to the fore because some of them are really good yeast consumers. But then what happens when they rise to the fore? Well, now we have too many of the bad bacteria in the gut. The good cannot live in this environment. So that's probably the most common thing. And you can kind of see how that domino effect goes backwards and how we end up in a really bad physical state. But there's other things. Some of those underlying infections, number one, could be um, Lyme, strep, what is it, the mono and the Epstein-Barr. All these live in our bodies. They just live there. So when they start to proliferate and then we get tested, oh, it's Lyme, or oh, it's this, or oh, it's that. Yeah, but those things were already there. It's an imbalance. So we have underlying infections now that are proliferating in the body, which are driving this disease because they also need to eat and live, and they want all of these fast carbs as well. And that's unfortunately our modern diet. So, and then of course mold, right? We could be in a house full of mold, and that too will trigger the yeast consumes mold. Yeast consumes mold. So you could see why now the body, in its wise, innately wise state, would bring yeast to the fore. So it's not always right. It's a bad thing, but sometimes we pull up the bad guys to do a cleanup job because there's not enough good guys around, and the body is adaptable like that. So, all that to say is that there's deeper root causes than just the leaky gut, and why it's so important to not only be looking at the gut, which is why it is so important to not think that removing gluten, sugar, and dairy is going to reverse your child's juvenile arthritis. Is it going to reduce flares? Yes. You're not feeding as many, right? It makes sense. Are we actually going to reverse the disease? No, we're just staving it off. And it's a good thing. We do remove, certain things because you have to if you want to heal. But let's go back to the pin because this is equally important. And it's important to understand that the body is so much more complex and it's a lot more involved in actually reversing disease than just taking supplements and changing a diet. Okay. So what I pinned before was that these toxins were getting out into the bloodstream. And maybe our child, let's just say, for example, I'm not saying in your child's example, case specifically, but let's just say, for example, your child, when they were real little, they had eczema and you put cream on it and that went away. And now, however many years later, boom, JIA, right? I mean, that's a common. Doesn't mean that's your situation, but it's even though it's not your exact situation, it still is valid. So what was happening there was that the toxins were getting into the bloodstream, skin condition, and the immune system went after it. We see inflammation, yes, and then the immune system started to say, "Oh, okay, all right, I cleared you out." And so when the immune system fights a battle, fights a war with an invader, think about a war. Think about a war. A soldier kills a soldier. Soldier dies. What happens to that body? Decomposes, it lets off gases. It's not a pretty scene. Well, that's what's happening in the body. Whenever your immune system wins a war against an invader, well, that invader needs to get cleaned out of the body. So the body is wonderful, right? Because we have all these detox organs. The colon, the bowels, the urinary tract, the lymph, the sweat glands, right? All of that. The lungs are a major detox organ. And lungs, skin. Yeah, I think I named them. So we have all these wonderful detox organs. And so that's what's been happening all this time, is that the immune system has been fighting these battles and it's been getting these toxins out. But since the root was never addressed, if you're here right now, the toxins are still pouring out of your child's body. But now it's getting to where, okay, the toxins are coming out way faster than the immune system can deal with them, right? So we're not dealing with them in the blood anymore. We're kind of like you were told, we're kind of like, oh my gosh, like where do I go? Whack-a-mole. Like there's toxins everywhere kind of a thing. And so what ends up happening with all of this activity and all of this cleaning house that the immune system is doing to get these toxins out of the body, well, now what has happened is that your child's detox organs, liver, kidneys, gallbladder, the lymphatic system, it's become blocked. it's sluggish, it's slowed down. And so now these toxins are starting to just circulate through the body. So if your child has juvenile arthritis, guess what? Their detox pathways are all sluggish. They're all backed up. Every single organ needs attention. And how do we know this? Because the body is so wise, and the body is constantly using the detox organs to get the toxins out. And that's why all this time you haven't had a flare, because that flare is the immune system saying, hey, I need help down here. I can no longer handle this load. I can no longer handle this level of toxins. You were unaware of all the work that your child's immune system is doing all that time because it was so good. So the fact that your child is having a flare in their joints and tissue means that the detox organs are backed up. Okay, so can you see now really why this is, how this is taking place and why this is happening in the body? It's yes, we're starting here in the gut, but it's bringing down issues downline, and then it's creating more issues upline. And now we have, boom, we finally have a diagnosis. Probably had, looking back, like I did, a lot of little weird things along the way, scratching head, don't know, they got better, moved on, antibiotics, whatever. And now here you are. So that is the truth about juvenile arthritis. But here's another truth. I'm going to save it for another video. But another truth, this is the same cause of all other autoimmune issues, meaning type 1 diabetes, lupus, any of them, Sjogren's disease, all of them. It's also the root cause of neurological conditions, stemming anywhere from ADHD to autism to everything in between, the bipolar, the depression, the anxiety. And it's also the root cause of all of our hormonal conditions as well. So your child might have juvenile arthritis, and that's why you're here, but nothing happens in a bubble. If you have one child with juvenile arthritis, do not assume that you have one sick child in the home. Your entire family, all of us really worldwide, really need to be healing our bodies preemptively, right? To prevent these things from happening to other children, but it might not be juvenile arthritis. The immune system detected toxins that got in your child's joints, so that's where the focus is right now. But it's a matter of time till it's detected in another joint and tissue in the body, or that your child might develop something completely different from juvenile arthritis, but it's the same immune system's response to all of the toxins in the body. It's just a matter of where in the body is that war being fought right now. And can that war go to other parts of the body and create other issues? Yes. And it does, if we don't get to the root of it. So I'll be covering that in other videos, and I have in past videos, so go watch other ones. But what I want you to get from this video and others is that there is hope and there is help, and it's right here at your fingertips. We thank the internet and all of the information that's out there, but you're searching for truthful information and you're looking for real answers. And so hopefully this video went ding, 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 ding for you. It made perfect sense, as it should. Not, this is what we do in the Blueprint is not for everybody. It is not. But if it did make sense, then this is your place. We are your people. And you have access to me. You can ask me any questions you want and just keep on following. But this is the way. This is how we heal our kids' juvenile arthritis. Okay, I'll see you in another video.